Good morning, everybody. Buddy Webb, Midland, Texas. Today's February 1st, 2021. That's a pretty big day 9 years ago after I'd been ambushed and shot inside my home because that was the day of the second surgery. And so there was a 3 day period in between when, I'm ambushed and shot with my phone lines cut, crawl out, God saved my life, made it to the hospital, had the first surgery. They faked the x-rays that night and then had that first surgery. So this is 3 days later, they wanted to do the second surgery. And during that time, we're going to talk about some of the things that happened. But that's when it's believed that they covered up the now removed trap door from that the ex-wife had already told me about, what the evidence shows that I was shot from. Remember, there's multiple people documents saying there's underground homes and tunnels are here, and somebody under my home shot me. The evidence is clear about that. It's not my word against their word. It's not waiting on somebody to believe you, because it's not up for me to convince you that happened. The evidence shows that's what happened. You have no choice. The facts are somebody under my home shot me. That's what the evidence shows. And so then I wake up, and here 9 years later, I wake up to this hateful message on my Facebook this morning. It's almost daily. It never stops. The crimes never stop. It is relentless. Here's a person, Alice Nichols, and I don't think, based on looking on I took screenshots of the whole profile. I'm going to send it over to the Texas Rangers and the sheriff because they're breaking the law. I'm going to show you that. But I don't even think it's somebody here. It's somebody across the nation. That's where this crime rings, like all across the nation. They rigged homes all across America. I was ambushed and shot with burglar alarms going to my attic. Now homeowners all over the nation are documenting reporting people in the attic. I think it's a big human trafficking prostitution ring, connected nationwide, But anyway, here's this hateful person. Forget your pride and sell the damn house. Would it be better to be alive and fighting the system instead of death? Okay. That's what I woke up to this morning, 9 years after I survived a murder attempt, been intentionally maimed, mutilated, crippled for life. My career's over. My mom's dead. My dad's dead. My daughter's raped. My reputation's ruined, and I wake up to this hateful crap, and so I reply. To be clear, we're talking about conspiring with others to obtain private property from another induced by wrongful use of actual or threatened force, violence, fear, or under color of right. Right? Okay, that's what I'm asking her. And I use them words, and I'm going to show you here in a minute because I attached a copy of the Hobbs Act. That's why I use them words. And you're saying that if I sell my home, then y'all will promise her and her crime ring that's trying to get me to sell my home, right? And the ones that obviously are behind the murders and and the parties and all that. And so if you're saying that if I sell my home, then you'll promise to not follow me and kill me later. And so I'm asking, did y'all make that same promise to Mike Lawhon, the last homeowner? He listed his home for sale, and he was dead 2 weeks later. Is that what you're trying to tell me? Sell your damn home, and we won't murder you. That's what I woke up to reading, right? Ain't that what she's saying? You sell your home, or you'll be murdered. That's what she said. That's the name of this video. Sell your home, or you'll be murdered. Okay, and so I've got questions, right? Are you truthful? What's going to stop you from following me and then murdering me, right? Because my best chance of exposing these murderers is this home. That's why they want me out, right? And what about the price? Okay, well, let's talk about the price. Do I get to set the price for my own home, or is there a certain price that you want me to sell it for, or otherwise I'll be murdered? Because that's always the bottom line. Sell your home or be murdered. Set the price at this or be murdered. Whatever you do, or we'll murder you. That's what she's saying, right? Ain't that what y'all reading? And why would you and your friends murder to steal a person's private home, right? Is it because you want to cover up the underground pedophile parties that were said to be going on here, or the murder of the little girl who didn't want a prostitute at the oil show party in 2010? What about the last guy, right? He died the week before the 2008 oil show started, And what about the doctors who were proven to fake my x-rays and they crippled for me for life? Do they get to keep on dismembering patients and charging the insurance company? I mean, if I sell my home, are they just going to keep on faking x-rays and cutting off the legs of crime victims? You know, is anybody going to be held accountable for these monstrous crimes, right? And what about the secret police that were caught tampering with evidence? The ones that, you know, that we build up and you know, we support and, you know, and you know, and they're, you know, out there protecting us. What about the dirty cops that were caught tampering with evidence, lying on a police report to cover up a for-profit failed murder for their friend, right? What about them? Do they just get to keep on sneaking into homes, keep on stealing evidence, keep on helping murder people in their homes to steal their property? You know, that's what I'm needing some specifics here on this you move or be murdered thing, right? You know, and then my last question is, why are you risking the 20-year prison sentence to get me to sell my home? Okay, and then I put this in here, you know. The Hobbs Act, named after Congressman Sam Hobbs. Whoever in any way or degree obstructs, delays, or affects commerce or movement of any article or commodity in commerce, such as the sale of real estate, by robbery or extortion, attempts or conspires, that means works with others, okay, shall be fined under this title or imprisoned not more than 20 years. Okay, well, let's understand what that means. Extortion means the obtaining of property, like my home, with his consent, induced by wrongful use or actual threaten, force, violence, fear, or under color of right, such as you'll be murdered if you don't sell your home, right? And the statute is frequently used in connection with cases involving public corruption, where police go, I'll look the other way, you break in your home, send him death threats, and then we'll buy his home from him. We'll force him to sell his home. Why? So we can cover up pedophile parties and murders, right? That's why. That's what's going on here, right? And then, but Alice, she is one hateful individual. I mean, she replied back, and here comes the smearing and the slander, and why haven't you done this bull crap, you know? Just saying, instead of being tortured in your own home, slowly being poisoned, this consuming your thought and life, yeah, I would leave and find some place. So one thing she forgot to, you know, forgot what stops them from following you and murdering you, right? So you remember, I'm asking her for a promise, right? Her and her friend, she's telling me to move or be murdered, right? Okay, you're starting to sound a bit crazy. Well, see, there's the smearing of my name. That's what they use to try to cover up these failed murder. It doesn't work anymore, you know. Back when they shot me in 2012, and, you know, all I had was this crazy story. Burglar alarm's gone in my attic, somebody under my home shooting me. You know, these pictures of these police, I couldn't identify, people dressed like police in my house, covering up a murder attempt, the secret police. Now there's proof showing I wasn't shot with my gun, proof of many other homeowners across the country reporting people in the attic, and multiple people documented saying that tunnels, underground homes are here. You can see it on Google Maps, right? You know, and she's going, here, you're sounding crazy. That's the smearing of the name right there, you know. This is the person that told me sell my home or be murdered, right? When you can't get FBI, Texas Rangers, local state police to believe you, once again, there's another lie. She's calling them stupid. Oh, they're so stupid they can look at all this evidence and they can't figure it out. 11 police, I paid $2,000 to get identified, but they can't figure it out. They're not that stupid. Let me tell you what, you know, there ain't nobody here going, oh, we don't believe Buddy, because it's not up to Buddy to convince you. The facts and the evidence are in the public. It's a fact. It's all there is to it, you know. And I replied back and I said, what I'm saying is that you're now documented trying to entice me to sell my home while under threat, which carries a 20-year prison sentence, and smearing my name in the public to cover up capital murders is additional prison time. Furthermore, the FBI, Texas Rangers, and local police are not as stupid as you claim, because nobody can look at the evidence and deny this capital murder attempt. It's not up to the disabled, defenseless crime victim to investigate and make arrests in capital murder cases. I'm reporting you to law enforcement. Don't you ever contact me again. That was this morning, you know, 9 years after I had survived a murder attempt. She wasn't the only person. That's what I'm going to show you here. I got some. Here's Shannon Jeter. Shannon says, Buddy, cops can kill you and get away with it. Stop publicizing your business, and then you go buy you another home. Do you see the the similarity there? It's all about you either sell your property or we'll murder you. Is that a violation of the Hobbs Act or what? This one just come in on YouTube within the last week or two from this Justin Scott, a friend of the ex-wife. He says, "Just move, man. Your ex-wife told me they're going to get you sooner or later. They're not going to get me a present for my birthday. They're going to kill me." That's what he's saying. They're going to murder you because they tried already and they failed, and they're going to murder you. Of course they are, unless we can find real good police to stop them. Okay. Lance Eggleston, right? Remember, we know who you are. We know where you sleep. We have access to your residence at all times. No one will ever believe your story. We will come again. You will be silenced, not if, but when, and that's just confirmation of an underground facility. What Lance didn't say was move or we'll kill you, he's just telling me they're going to kill me, right? He ain't saying move or we'll kill you. He's saying we'll kill you. And this theme of moving from a home, which I've documented hundreds of people, one of the most amazing was the Department of Homeland Security on the day that I went behind Home Depot, and I showed them where I believe the human trafficking murder tunnel was that was used for the oil show parties, where they carried the body of that dead girl in 2010. Okay, and I get over there, and this human trafficker, or this Department of Homeland Security agent named Paul, right, tries to sits there, and as far as I'm concerned, asked me why I wouldn't sell my home while I'm under the threat of death. This is absurdity. This is law enforcement. That was the conspiring with the public corruption charges and all that. Because I provided them enough evidence to stop this crime ring and saw multiple murders, and here I'm going to show you in a minute. They're pouring concrete 2 weeks later. But anyway, he admits to it. He says, "Buddy, I simply asked you why you wouldn't consider selling your home if you continue to feel threatened there." Now, keep in mind, I had showed them proof of the death threats, proof of the murder attempt, all this huge amount of evidence. And I've compared that to the bank being robbed and the police showing up at the bank going, "Have you thought about selling the bank if you keep getting robbed?" No, I thought about the police arresting the bank robbers. That's why I went to the police, right? That's what I thought about, so, that's what I'm saying. But 2 weeks later, I get home, where I showed them where I believe the human trafficking murder tunnel was at. They're digging up the ground, pouring concrete. That was after I showed a Homeland. And I'm going to show you, it was real easy to see where the tunnel ditch was cut behind Home Depot going right to my house, right? That's where I believe they carried the body of that dead girl out in 2010. That's where the killers, people that shot me. I believe that the 11, or most of the secret police caught on camera inside my house, they come from this tunnel right here from under my home. It looks like it might have been police that tried to murder me in my own home because they were working with the burglars. There's the real problem, right? Okay, so here we go. And just the short history, this is all before February 1st. This is on January 28, 2012, the night that I was shot. They cut me with my phone lines cut, right? Burglar alarms going off in the attic. And that's what that shows. That's the nurse's notes on the bottom, me crawling out. And I'm just doing a short history here. I just created this. I just went to Google Maps and I took a print screen on my computer. You can do it. 3802 Fair Circle. You look in my backyard and there's a large building home in my backyard. Okay. This is my home right here. That building right there is what I'm pointing out. That's where I believe the oil show parties were held. I believe that is one of the 4 3-bedroom underground homes, cost over $1 million apiece, where the oil show parties were held, where they're having pedophile parties, I was told, and where that young girl was murdered at the 2010 oil show party. And I'm showing you, here's a picture on the same page of my backyard. There ain't no big home there in my backyard, right? You can't see that from above ground. That's why I believe that's an underground bunker. That's where I believe that little girl's murdered at. And of course, I'm shot by somebody under my home, here I'm having to always defend myself because it never stops these people like Alice, smearing my name. Oh, police don't believe you. Bull crap. You think police are so stupid they can't look at that tunnel ditch aimed right at my house, after multiple murders at this house, and they don't know? 11 secret police caught on camera. It takes 6 years to get them identified. You have to offer a reward, but they don't know. They're so stupid they don't know. When they finally figure it out, you're going to be dead. Oh, they finally figured it out. Bull crap. Yeah, absolutely they know. Everybody knows, okay? Ricky Ronaldo used to live in my house. When I was a kid, there were tunnels under my house. Me and my brother used to always go down there, okay? One more out of the many people documented. Let's look real quick. These are the pictures of the secret police. Accidentally got caught on camera. They tried to disable the camera, the log file shows. And then I had to offer a reward. First time in the history of America, crime victim offer a reward. And it took 6 years to get them named. Rosie Rodriguez, April Chandler, Tony Dickey, Greg Chatwell, Greg Nelson, Marty Barrett, Chad Simpson, Mike Naylor, Mark Gilliam, Michael Glick, John Woodward. Okay. Woodward, sheriff from a whole nother county. 2 of these are dead, there's all kinds of stories out of the 11 police that were caught on camera here. And I finally get the police report in 7 years later in 2019, and it showed me that 6 of them's names were admitted, and 2 of them were dead. And so, just massive, tampering with evidence, falsifying police records. This is all in a capital attempted murder, proven, okay? And here, I'm showing you the same picture. Here's time-stamped when the first 2 secret police show up, and that was the late Sheriff Deputy Mike Naylor and John Woodward, a sheriff from Martin County, former sheriff. And they show up 19 minutes after I crawled out. Okay, they're caught on camera. Well, here's the police report I finally got, was withheld for 7 years. Showed me Dickey was inside my home at 11:05. Okay, they were here at 11:01. Okay, so 4 minutes later, Dickey's inside my home, but he wasn't seen arriving. Right, he didn't go in the door, and all the other doors were secured. The police reports themselves show that I had extra locks on my doors. The only other entrance in my house would have been the now removed trap door the ex-wife had told me about, and from where I'd been shot. That's why it's believed that Dickey, Lieutenant Dickey, Midland Police Department Lieutenant Dickey, that was in my house 4 minutes after Woodward and Naylor seen in front of my house, came in from the underground, entrance. Maybe he was the shooter. He might be the would-be killer working with the burglars, because there's a burglar trapped in my bathroom at the time. Also at my house during that time was it was 5 of them: Davis, Dickey, Chadwell, Angel, and L. Actually, it makes sense that these 2 were under my house too. They just left and went around the front. That's why it explains a sheriff from a different county was here, right? That makes sense. Here, I want to show you some of the life-destroying lies. I mean life-destroying lies that here's 10 years later, it's still clearing up. And, and I have 7 grandkids that live in shame because of these life-destroying lies told to cover up this for-profit capital attempted murder that was going to make the lifelong friend of Rosie Rodriguez, Detective Rosie Rodriguez, rich, right? This was a absolutely 100%. Nobody accidentally breaks in the home, accidentally shoots a homeowner. That's premeditation. You got to load your gun, drive from your home to my home, right? And, cut my phone lines, shoot me by surprise. And, but I want to show you here a couple of them. 1:30:12. I'm shot at 1:28:12, and then we're talking 3 days later on February 1st. So during that time, that April Chandler makes up this lie right here. She says, paranoid schizophrenic Buddy Webb has tear gas in the bathroom, etc., etc. April Chandler. Okay. Now, let me tell you something. I wasn't diagnosed with that disease. I don't have that disease. Proof shows I wasn't even shot with my gun, so I'm a crime victim, right? And she just made that up. Out of her criminal little mind, she made that life-destroying up and permanently attached it. This shows up on every police report since. So a police officer today, they look up my name. Oh, yeah, he's a paranoid schizophrenic. But he's not a paranoid schizophrenic. That was an April Chandler lie to cover up a capital attempted murder, is what that was. I was cleared at the hospital by mental health, right? It was like That's all bullshit. It's what it was. It was all bullshit, and it was worse than bullshit. It was a life-destroying lies to cover up a failed for-profit murder. These criminals broke into a private home, tried to murder a homeowner by surprise. Okay, and then her counterpart here, Rosie Rodriguez, she says, I contacted Allegiance Hospital to evaluate and commit Buddy Webb. She tried to have me committed, and this one was on February 1st, right there. Okay, on February 1st, I contacted Buddy Webb. The hospital had surgery. Foot was not amputated. Ain't that interesting that she was very interested in the amputation because they were trying to cut off the leg. They were trying to cut off the evidence, you know. But he continued to talk about the tunneling. People in his attic, that's well proved now, ain't it? But he provided a drawing of the layout of his household tunnel center, gave consent for EOD team to go in his residence. We're going to talk more about that here in a minute, okay? But I want to show you this, and this is common on many of the people in the attic scanner calls, that you'll hear the dispatcher call the crime victims 1096. And I mean, there's like a dozen of them, you know, they're calling all of them are crazy. And, you know, and that's only the ones I happen to hear, you know, and literally, you know, this is what I show you from the emergency room report. And basically it's showing that it's proof showing that my x-rays are fake. The ER doctor orders 3 x-rays. Secret lab tech user interface cancels doctor's orders 2 x-rays. Returned x-rays timestamp 10 minutes before they were even ordered, meaning that they were working on faking the x-rays before they were even ordered. User and interface is still secret, okay? This here is my foot. It was 4 months before the murder attempt. It shows what my heel bone looks like. This heel right here has my name on it, and it's dated from the night of the murder attempt. You can see the heel bone's gone. See how small the heel bone is? See how large the heel bone is? That what I noticed was that was before surgery, my heel bone wasn't shot off. That's not my foot. That's one of the proofs. See, I found multiple proofs showing that my x-rays were fake, and one of them proofs was that the heel bone was shot off before surgery. Okay, and it wasn't shot off. It was gone, missing before surgery. So it was a foot full of pellets. You know, it's like, well, you know, whose foot is it? Well, that's a good question. I've done other videos on that. You know, I'm thinking it's this guy right here. You know, I'm thinking it's this guy's foot, because a few months later, another doctor, Dr. Hinton, said he compared my x-rays from 117/12 to other ones I had taken on 119/12, and the problem was that I was shot on 128/12. Okay, so he wasn't looking at my x-rays. That means somebody else was shot 11 days before me, and I think it's that guy's foot, and that they put my name on, and they tried to play it off. Okay, now keep in mind, I was supposed to be dead anyway, right? That wasn't part of the game plan. They were trying to cover up because I had crawled out and survived. And I believe they did that because I wasn't shot with the shotgun, and that guy had been, you know, and maybe that guy is what gave them, you know, the idea. Now, this is an important part here. Okay, this comes from, I'm going to just start at the top. There was a large amount of plastic and lead pellet debris in my foot. A Glazer safety slug is a pellet tip, a plastic tip pellet filled bullet. Okay, so I saw on the operator report, and this one here is shows just the admission date. It shows here there's a large amount of plastic and lead pellet debris. Okay, so the question come back and was asked, where'd the plastic come from? Because if I shot with a standard shotgun shell, which these corrupt police were saying I had been, and evidence shows that I haven't been, right, then you wouldn't have that plastic in there. Okay, and you know, and then you get these people that they're grasping at straws trying to cover up these murders and pedophile parties and all that. There's a piece of plastic in that shotgun shell. It's called the wadding. And then I come back and I go, well, the ER doctor, my brother-in-law I didn't know about, removed the wadding before surgery, you know. No, it wasn't the wadding, you know. And the plastic, I believe, to come from a special pellet-filled plastic tip bullet called the Glazer safety slug, right? I think these killers had bought a special ammunition to kill me with. That's what it looks like, okay? Now let's get to talking about the 9 years ago today on February 1st. Okay, I'm at the hospital. Okay, I've been there 3 days. I had survived this, murder attempt. and already had one surgery, and the doctors had come in and they're wanting me to have a second surgery. We need to go clean it out and all this stuff, and we want you to think about amputation. That's when the amputation stuff started, and on this, before the second surgery on February 1st. That morning at the hospital, two detectives come by there, Rosie Rodriguez and another one. There's Rosie Rodriguez, right? And come to find out, I found out a couple years later, she was lifelong friends with the ex-wife that had filed divorce on 5 days earlier. Okay, and so it said here, and maybe Brian Rutrow is the other one, I don't know. But here's February 1st, so that's 9 years ago today. This is the consent to search form. And remember I said, okay, well, when she come up there, I was like, why did they wait so long? Why we waited 3 days before this was a murder attempt is what it was, somebody shot me. And I was drawing these drawings for them, and going, check this, and finally I thought justice was, the police were finally, the cavalry was here, finally, they were finally going to stop these crimes. I was so wrong, right? But so that was the second entry. What happened is they had been in the first time, they tried to disable the camera and they were withholding the police report, and they didn't plan on anybody finding out they'd been in my home that night staging the crime ring. Remember, Rosie Rodriguez was seen planting my stolen cell phone, right? April Chandler was seen searching drawers, right? I had evidence. I had the spare shotgun shells stolen from my closet, right? They were stealing evidence, staging the crime scene. During that time, the concrete was poured, I believe, in the 3 days, from where it shows I was shot and all that. So then the second entry was this one on 2/1/12, and that was the only one anybody was going to find out about because they were withholding the police report. What messed them up is they accidentally started that camera, got caught on camera, and then they became the secret police, offered a reward and all that. Okay, so that's what happened here. This is the consent to search form. Here's the evidence log from it's showing 4 months, 28 days later. So about 5 months later, Rosie Rodriguez finally submits the consent to search form as evidence. She wasn't never going to do that, but they got caught on camera. That's what happened. That's the only reason this evidence come in. CD photos, and she was seen on the secret police pictures. She had a camera in her hand. Okay, and so she all of a sudden 5 months later had to turn in this evidence that she was illegally withholding, that she was trying to cover up this capital murder attempt, and then the victim's statement she turned in, and the two drawings that are gave her to places to look in this house for possible hidden entrances. Okay, so I want to show you the consent to search form turned in 5 months later right there. I think that's evidence in itself, and the only reason it happened on that late evidence got turned in is because of the secret police pictures, right? Because they got caught on camera. This is the police report for that morning on February 1st when she come up to the hospital and asked me to sign a consent to search form, not pretending, not letting me know they'd already been in my house staging the crime scene. And what they had done is they scheduled the bomb squad. Oh, it's not safe in Buddy's house, nobody can go in Buddy's house, but they didn't know they had been caught on camera inside my home staging the crime scene. That's what them pictures messed them up. They accidentally started the camera. This right here told me who was in the second group, in the second entry on my house. Brian Rackow, Joe Ramirez, Dylan Hale, Rosie Rodriguez, and Todd Stanley. Okay, and so and here I want to show you, this shows up, paranoid schizophrenic. That's April Chandler's lie. Remember her life-destroying lie to cover up a capital attempted murder. On every single police report since that is permanently attached to my name. That is a lie that she made up, right? And she was the one that's caught tampering with evidence, lying on police reports, and she's still a police officer to this day. I mean, and don't think it's personal. If she do it to me, she'll sure do it to you when they break in your home and murder your family. Yeah, I guarantee you, I mean, it's the dirty of the dirty is what it is. Here, I'm going to show you in the spreadsheet this first column. Okay, this column right here is from the secret police pictures. These are the ones identified by the private investigator, Empire Private Investigations in 2018, 6 years later, because I offered a reward. That's how we got these names: Rosie Rodriguez, April Chandler, Greg Chatwell, Tony Dickey, Marty Barrett, John Woodward, the Martin County Sheriff Magnator, Chad Simpson, Greg Nelson, Mark Gilliam, Michael Glick. The reason these are colored and these are not, because these here were not even listed on the police report. I didn't know the police report even existed until the next year in 2019, and that's where this second list of names come from. So these are the names on the police report, and these are the people caught on camera and identified by the private investigator. 6 of them here are not on there, and 2 of them are dead. I mean, that ought to be raising some eyebrows. And they die within 2 months of each other right there. 2 secret police are dead that I had to pay to get identified. I mean, that should be national news right there, okay? And so here's the police report comes in. And here's one of the most important things. 5 of these police officers, Davis, Dickey, Chatwell, Angel, and L, are time-stamped as being at or in my home, and they're not seen arriving on the security cameras that saw Woodward and Naylor, okay, arriving 19 minutes after I crawled out. That's how I knew that they had come in from the underground, now removed trapdoor entrance, okay? And then this police report right here is the second entry. And notice the names. I think Dylan Hale is actually here. And but Rosie Rodriguez and Dylan Hale, most of them that were involved on the first entry are not there. Okay, Rosie Rodriguez, your number 1 player, your detective there. Looks like Dylan Hale too. So that's just getting you up to date here, okay? I want to show you another police report I think you'll find real interesting, okay? Rosie Rodriguez, and here's the date again, and we kind of looked at that a while ago, February 1st, because today is February 1st, and that's why we're talking about this, okay? And Rosie Rodriguez, here it is, Detective Rosie Rodriguez, crimes against persons, you know, and ain't that a joke? Here, you know, I'm a crime victim. Buddy had surgery, and his foot was not amputated. Okay, so I think that the reason that Rosie Rodriguez put that in there in the police report about my foot not being amputated, because that was the plan. They wanted to cut off my leg, you know, because it was evidence I wasn't shot with my gun. That means somebody came to my house and shot me. It looks like it might have been police that did that. So they were wanting to cut off the leg of the crime victim to cover up this failed murder that was going to make her friend, Rosie Rodriguez's lifelong friend, rich, right? My ex-wife. Okay. So anyways, and I'm going to go into this last little part here about Rosie Rodriguez on her narrative. She said, I contacted and spoke with Buddy Webb's neighbor. I informed them about the incident. Also told them that he suspects their teenage sons were digging tunnels from their home to his and stealing his belongings. That was a lie. You know, she asked me if who I thought might be involved, and I told her I seen them kids in front of my house before I was shot. You know, so that was another Rosie Rodriguez lie. She's been documented lying multiple times. You know, and stealing and tampering with evidence. I was informed that his older teenage son parked his vehicle on his property, but next to Buddy Webb's residence, which would be in front of my cameras. In the morning, his car's tires slashed. And I was told his son began to park on the other side from Buddy's home, and his tires were no longer slashed. They believed it's Buddy. So there was this made-up story that I didn't even know about me slashing, tires. I never slashed a tire in my life. I'm a 28-year company man, never had a felony, right? Granddad, a homeowner, etc., right? And here's this, and I think this lie was made up. I don't think anybody's tires was slashed, to tell you the truth. I think this lie was made up to smear my name because they're trying to cover up a capital attempted murder. I mean, that's what I'm thinking, you know. And besides that, if it was true, you know, or if they did any investigation, the front of my house was covered in cameras because, you know, that's what saw Woodward and Naylor, right? And then the last I showed you already, I contacted Legion Specialty Hospital, evaluate and commit Buddy Webb. No further information, case closed. So Rosie Rodriguez closed the case herself, and she was one of the secret police. She actually met me at the 7-Eleven when I crawled out, and then said on the police report she wasn't even there. I mean, that's a fact. She met me at the 7-Eleven, crawled into my truck, right? And then come back and said she wasn't even there. And you know, being the lifelong friend of the ex-wife. What I want to show you here, this is some Google Earth map pictures, and it's just to talk about the slash tire deal here. I want to show you on the neighbor's house. was a suspected tunnel entrance. These same neighbors that had the kids. And that's why, I suspected. And what had happened here, these are time stamped. This one was, I think, before I moved here, and you don't see nothing in the backyard of that neighbor's house, okay? And here, this is in 2009, December 2009, and this is my home where I was ambushed and shot, okay? Not at that time. And in the backyard was that suspected tunnel entrance. See that white ground thing covering the ground there? And then here I'm showing again, it's showing the date up here on October 14th. So, the satellite picture shows it is there, but by April 2016, it's gone. Okay, so they took it out, right? And the reason they took it out is because I'm making videos. That's what the reason I took it, because I was talking about it on my Facebook, my videos, okay? And they also took out this live tree right there. And there was another suspected tunnel entrance right there. They recently poured concrete over there. I got that on video too, right? And so I just want to show you that, this is the neighbor had a suspected tunnel entrance in their backyard, and of course right there, that's the side of the yard where it's believed that one of the underground homes is at. Okay. I want to show you, this is real important. The below that I already showed you from the police report on the amputation. All these others, in the 10 days I was in the hospital, I saw a BKA or amputate, below the knee amputation, mentioned 10 times, day after day after day. They over and over and over, they tried to talk me into letting them cut off my leg. And I think the reason is that they're trying to cover up these horrific medical crimes, because they faked my x-rays and they went and took me in to surgery, and they cut it to make it look like I was shot with a shotgun when that hadn't happened, right? And then on the second thought, then they wanted to cut off my leg, and also interested, on the medical reports, an attempt was made to place him as in a mental home because we thought the police department required that he not go home. Isn't that interesting? That was more, eventually we found out that was not true, and he had been cleared by mental health, right? Because I'm a crime victim that was home and minding my own business. When somebody under my home shoots me, these crimes are crazy, that's for sure. Multiple people documented saying underground homes are crazy. Google Maps showing an underground home in my backyard you can't see from above ground. That's crazy. Proof showing I wasn't shot with my gun. That's crazy, but I'm sure not crazy. And so anyway, I offered the patient a below the knee amputation. I explained he thought, later he needed amputation. Okay. I believe that a major problem may require below the knee amputation. These are day after day after day. He does not wish to have an amputation. See if the limb can be saved, He will consider an amputation. He will consider amputation. More amputation, over and over. And that wasn't even all of them, they were desperate to cut my leg off because my leg proves I wasn't shot with my gun. That proves that somebody came to my home, shot me from under my home. And it opens up a can of worms. You got the last homeowner died a week before the 2008 old show started. You got the little girls murdered in an underground home in the backyard. You got all these other homes rigged. You got the secret police gang, right? It takes 6 years to get them identified, right? I want to show you something real interesting. This is from the ER doctor, okay? This is my brother-in-law that I didn't know about, right? And keep in mind that it was the ex-wife that told me the secret is a group of doctors are killing people for profit. She didn't say that her brother-in-law was one of them doctors, but I've wondered that. But anyway, what we're going to focus on his statement right here. He said, right ankle exhibits a through-and-through gunshot wound, which appears to have been sustained by a shotgun blast. Appears, look at that word, appears to have been sustained by a shotgun blast. Ain't that interesting wording? Because I was shot with a special plastic tip, pellet-filled bullet to make it appear that I was shot with a shotgun. And that way they could rule my murder an accident and added $500,000 to the life insurance policy. And the ex-wife had taken them life insurance books. Appears to be from a shotgun blast, but it wasn't. Why didn't he just say there was a bunch of pellets from a shotgun blast, right? But he said that. Here, what I want to show you is a collage of pictures, okay? It says 2 weeks after being shot. You can look at it. Now, keep in mind what the ER doctor said. A through-and-through gunshot wound that appears, okay? You could look into this was on February 14th, Valentine's Day, okay? And so that was 2 weeks after. I was already out of the hospital. That was taken at my house, okay? They cut a big hole in the side of my foot to make it look like I was shot with a shotgun, to make it appear I was shot with a shotgun. They had intentionally maimed and mutilated me, okay? And that's That's why they wanted to cut off my leg, right? They were desperate. They didn't want anybody to see what they did. These are monsters. These are modern day monsters. And they're, as far as I'm getting, I'm sure there's no reason to think they're not still doing this to other crime victims, other patients. Because not only did they do this, they charged the insurance company, okay? I want to show you what my foot looks like now. God saved my life. That's what I walk around on. And sometimes, I have to get back on crutches, and there's still a lot of pain and all that, and because there's lifetime consequences for the victims of capital crimes. Now, remember, I'm going to say it over and over and over. The evidence shows I was not shot with my gun. Well, that means somebody came to my home and shot me, okay? And I'll wrap this up with operating room staff. Somebody in this operating room staff, they know what happened, right? And this is the first surgery on the night that I'm shot, okay? And minus the surgeon, okay? Carlos Morales, he was the surgical assistant. Candace Morgan, Edward Carter, Mandy Meadows, and Coutinho. You can see that. This is the second surgery. This is on the February 1st surgery. And I believe, what I believe is this second surgery wasn't even needed. This was done with the hope that they could talk me into letting them cut off the evidence, cut off my leg of what they had done to me. Once again, Carlos Morales. And I think Carlos Morales, that surgical assistant, might know something. One day I was at the surgeon's office on a follow-up visit. And so this Carlos, he comes into the room, into the waiting room. The doctor ain't in there yet. And he sits down and we're talking. And he's telling me how he come in from Mexico, that he was a doctor in Mexico, right? But he come to the United States for opportunities for his family and his children, and how his kids were in college and all this. He seemed remorseful about what happened to me, and he's telling me this. And all of a sudden the surgeon, which I've never named, busts in the door, and we jump, right? And he runs him out. I mean, he was panicked. And I believe that surgeon was scared that Carlos was telling me what happened, and that's why he was like, you get out of here, and he ran Carlos out of the room. And so I think maybe I even wondered, because of that story you told me, if Carlos and his family wasn't threatened with deportation, if they don't go along with this intentional maiming and mutilation of this crime victim to cover up this failed for-profit murder, because they're wanting to get my house. Because remember, that's where it all started, right? At the beginning, that's where I showed you at the beginning, you sell your home or you be murdered. They want my home, right? That's what's going on. They're murdering people to gain property. And what happens when they want your home? They're going to murder you and your family. And don't think the press is going to help you. And, the Texas Rangers, the FBI, until we find good law enforcement to stop this crime ring. Buddy Webb, Midland, Texas.